Hey everybody, it's Charlie from the channel Charlie Shipley Music. I was an entrant in this season of Creangle's Idol Search, but I've decided to drop out since I was feeling a little burned out already, and as Cree warned you in the audition video, this is a long and grueling process, and I just did Idol Search Season 9, and I don't think I've quite recovered yet from it. So maybe down the line I'll do it again as a performer. I'd really like to do it again as a judge sometime. What some of you might not know is that I was a judge in Season 4, the season that No Elliott Goodwin won. So I really enjoy that aspect of it, so I decided that for this season I'm going to do commentaries, and I'm going to do them in a pretty thorough way, so we'll see how this goes. For right now, the format's going to be like this. I'm going to give my critiques in the order from what I consider to be the least successful video to the most successful. I'm going to give some notes on each one along the way, and I'm going to assign a score. That just hits my number nerd spot, assigning a score from 0 to 10, and I'm going to use one decimal place, so you could get a score as low as 0.0, 10 up to 10.0, and anything in between, like a 2.2 or a 9.3 or a 6.7. So I will begin with JJCQLA, Javier. He sang The Start of Something New by Zac Efron and Vanessa Hudgens. And this song was from High School Musical, which I own the soundtrack to. Go figure. But unfortunately, I didn't recognize it as such until you hit the chorus, with the random woes and the lack of any discernible meter. But even when you did hit the chorus, the lack of pitch correctness was so overwhelmingly bad that I still wasn't sure exactly what song it was. I had to do a Google lyric search. So since you've made it into round one, for now, try slowing down each piece of a tune that you're learning. Maybe take things slow, and with the stuff like whoa and the melisma, don't just do that because the original artist did it. Do it because it comes naturally to you in your performance. I do really applaud your energy and your willingness to sing in a public forum. That takes bravery. Unfortunately, I just wish I were having as good a time as you were. Unfortunately, your score is a 0.5. Next up is OceanMike with Isn't She Lovely by Stevie Wonder. And I could spin this critique talking about technicalities like intonation. There were a couple problems there. You seem to drop a quarter step or so between the first verse and the remainder of the song. But what really disappointed me about the audition was that I didn't really perceive you feeling a single word of it. Who were you singing it about? What is lovely about him or her? The lyrics are kind of vague, and so your feelings have to convey the rest of that. And secondly, I think it would help you to sing closer to the camera so that those expressions, like your facial expressions and the emotion that you're feeling, becomes a little bit clearer. It distances you a little bit from the viewer. You've definitely improved technically from the last time I heard you sing. So credit where it's due, and I'll look forward to seeing you sing with a track or other backing. But unfortunately for now, your score is a 1.8. Next up is Shanoa Sings 1, and you sang Tell Me Something I Don't Know by Selena Gomez. And I know that a lot of judges get hung up on video presentation. I'm the kind of guy who doesn't mind a little bit of lived-in qualities in the background, as long as it doesn't detract from your presentation. That's not going to be a huge component in my score assignments. But in this case, the visuals definitely did detract because the camera work was distracting almost to the point of inducing motion sickness. And furthermore, the ABBA dancing queen in the background rendered the initial part of the video quite noisy, and there was just a lot of tense energy going on. So I do like that you chose something age appropriate, and you seem to have the right attitude, especially on the choruses. But it felt like you lost some notes at certain points, and that you're cheating on your lyrics at others. Looking away from the camera is a big tell for that. That happened with a lot of people this round, so don't feel alone in that. Lastly, though, this is a singing competition, and the verses and the bridge of this particular song were mostly spoken word, or at least that was the way they sounded when you delivered them. I haven't heard this particular original. But I do wish maybe you'd chosen another Selena Gomez song, such as Naturally or A Year Without Rain, that had more of a melody to it, so we could hear the quality of your voice. But for now, your score is a 2.3. Next up is Mtrogerz, Matt. You chose Teenage Dream by Katy Perry. I found this to be actually quite a charming song choice for you. Not the least because you're quite a handsome fella. You've got a young Marlon Brando thing going on, and you give the camera a good face, interpreting the song well, I think. I really want to like you is kind of what I'm trying to say. But, however, there are marginally fewer pitch problems than some of your entries last season, but I still counted at least 5 unintentional key changes. And I'm not just talking flat notes or sharp notes, I'm talking all-out key changes. And that's really kind of unacceptable in a singing competition. Your presentation elevated your score a little bit here, but it's going to take a lot of practice to right the ship of your technical singing ability. But if you're dedicated, I won't count you out. So your score is a 2.4. Next up is EB Studios 92, Ethan. You sang Black Jesus, I'm in Fashion by Lady Gaga. The good part of this video was pretty good. I think that your presentation and your energy, as well as a kind of off the beaten path song choice, it is a Lady Gaga song, but it's not a single. It's not something that everybody's heard. So that's a plus for you. The okay is that I'm pretty sure you know how to carry a tune on the basis of the video. No unintentional key changes, maybe intonation issues here and there, but I think that with the right vehicle, it could go better. But the ugly is that you took a song by an artist who's known for her airtight hooks and rendered the spoken word chorus, which I'll admit carries a high degree of difficulty, in an unrecognizable and unrhythmic way. And I hate to say it, but in this case, that was a fashion crime. So your score for that is a 3.0. Next up is TheBaddestSinger, who sang one of the many incarnations of Adele's #1 Billboard Hot 100 hit, Rolling in the Deep. And I think you have some raw material to work here with your voice. I'm thinking of the quirky, kind of quiet way that you sang deep in every verse, as well as the flow out of the line, reap just what you sow. But here's some advice from me to you. One of the things I've had to let go of as a singer in my own right is the fantasy of being a power vocalist. And what I mean by that is, rather than sing what might be fun at a karaoke bar for contests like this, I've tried to find songs that played to my strengths rather than expose my weaknesses. And I think this song really exposed your weaknesses. They were in full display. But, and this is a big but, just like my own. Never apologize. Never. This goes for everybody. Never apologize before and after your performance like you did here, because it never works in your favor. Even if you're killing it vocally, those watching you will be searching for the chink in your armor, and everyone has those in most every performance. It's gonna always work against you. So for now, chin up, find a song that fits you, and Godspeed. Your score for this song is 3.1. Next up is AubrianaKrystine. You sang Travelin' Soldier by the Dixie Chicks, and I think you've got a pretty solid voice. Just make sure you don't shift keys midstream rather. The only egregious errors here were the note at the very end and two lyrical missteps. It's I cried, and then too young for him, they told her. And as a big fan of the Dixie Chicks, and I'm sure there were others, I don't know if they mentioned these particular errors, but they stood out to me, so I thought I'd point them out. But the main problem here was conceptual. It's simply not an age-appropriate song for you. It's one that speaks to really a weathered experience and a deep sadness that I don't know that... Well, I don't know your life, to quote one of my favorite phrases, but it's difficult for someone your age, and I'm not sure what exactly that is, but it's pretty young from what I could gather, to bring across such a deeply emotional song. I think you'd have a better chance of pulling it off if you came closer to camera and sang directly into it, though. Maybe a Dixie Chicks song like Ready to Run would be a better suggestion. I think that is more age appropriate in terms of the level of performance that someone your age could bring across. But your score is a 3.8. Next up is Cheyenne Sings 1. You sang Bring Me to Life by Evanescence, and the tone of your voice fits the beginning of the song very well. But when you begin to project your voice in the second verse, you become rushed. And that's a problem which recurs in the bridge. And also you push several of the notes out of tune when you try to add power to your voice. And Amy Lee's voice is really deceptive because it's very smooth in tone, but it's also very powerful. So there are very few singers who can really pull off a song that she's done unless they completely reconceptualize it. Some other issues which a lot of people this applies to, reading the lyrics, which obviously disconnects you from the emotional aspects of the performance, and a general lack of fire in the eyes. This song is one that you should be resting from your gut, and this rendition whimpers in some areas where it should soar. So unfortunately your score is a 4.0. We're going up, we're going up. Next up is IdolSearchAngela. You sang Danny Boy, which is a traditional tune, which is kind of a left field song choice coming from you. You sang it well, but watch your breath control. There were several phrases that felt rather clipped at the end of them. So that's one thing to watch out for. Also, if you're doing a kind of a full-length shot of your body, make sure to plant those feet and don't put your hands in your pockets. That drove me a little bit nuts. And then finally, even if you're going to sing in a head voice, which is a perfectly viable decision, make sure you support it. Oh, Danny boy, versus, oh, Danny boy, that kind of thing. So I'll be interested, though, to see what song choices you make from here on out. And yes, I am thoroughly expecting you to rock on. Your score is a 4.1, and I'm ending part 1 of my critiques here. So tune in for part 2 on the flip side.